Your children will soon return to you, and the people who defeated you and destroyed you will leave. Look up and look around you. All your children are gathering to return to you. The Lord says, "As surely as I live, your children will be like jewels that a bride wears proudly." You were destroyed and defeated, and your land was made useless. But now you will have more people than the land can hold, and those people who destroyed you will be far away. Children were born to you while you were sad, but they will say to you, "This place is too small for us. Give us a bigger place to live." Then you will say to yourself, "Who gave me all these children? I was sad and lonely, defeated and separated from my people. So who reared these children? I was left all alone. Where did all these children come from?" This is what the Lord God says. "See, I will lift my hand to signal the nations. I will raise my banner for all the people to see. Then they will bring your sons back to you in their arms, and they will carry your daughters on their shoulders. Kings will teach your children, and daughters of kings will take care of them. They will bow down before you and kiss the dirt at your feet. Then you will know I am the Lord. Anyone who trusts in me will not be disappointed. Can the wealth a soldier wins in war be taken away from him? Can a prisoner be freed from a powerful soldier? This is what the Lord says. The prisoners will be taken from the strong soldiers. What the soldiers have taken will be saved. I will fight your enemies, and I will save your children. I will force those who trouble you to eat their own flesh. Their own blood will be the wine that makes them drunk. Then everyone will know I, the Lord, am the one who saves you. I am the powerful one of Jacob who saves you."
Are being made to be the victim of a situation they are not involved, and then sent to a foster home where they again are reintroduced to trauma of being the odd ball. Our courts are contaminated with young, inexperienced caseworkers and polluted with bribes, high-priced bonuses for speedy adoption of terminated parents, and judges who don't practice law with the Constitution in their sights. This is a problem. George Washington never thought of children as pawn in the game of freedom and American values, and never had he wanted to sell them. They were from his maker, his creator. Our children are being run down for no other reason than the profits being made in some way. Somehow these government agencies make money hand over fist day in and day out. They have you go to classes that they are billing for, and there is no viable reason for you to attend. Yet when you hear an update, CPS tells you that you're further away from when you started. Reunification is your goal, not theirs. And after you go through 12+ months of grueling, painstaking classes and meetings, all while getting the slimmest amount of time to visit your child, and even worst, you are always supervised. Never alone again with your child. It's awful. How do they feel, do you think?
Where's the outrage? Why is nobody standing up for these families being torn apart by CPS?
Please don't tell me you're going to put all your bets on this superhero. You grown-ups are supposed to be coming to his rescue. Stop ignoring this problem. There is nothing more I can say to any of you. Please fight CPS and help those who have lost so much they can help themselves.
All right, everybody, welcome to this night's version of CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I am your host, the CPS Punisher, and this is our night together. Honestly, I couldn't remember which night it just was, so I apologize for that. I believe it is Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, correct. Yes, I'm right. Tuesday. Yes, thank goodness. All right, so it is Tuesday night. Hey guys, don't forget we have the chat right here next to us. You've got questions, comments, anything that I can do to help you answer some of those problems, I will gladly do that for you. Man, I hope you guys caught that show, the Tiff and the Punisher show. That was really good. Man, that guy Gunner is just a wall of information. It's amazing. It's crazy how some of these people just, this stuff just sticks and man, they can just go and go and go. It's just amazing. It's amazing. He's an amazing person. I'm glad that he's on board here with all of us. He's a great ally to have, and I definitely welcome his everything. So hopefully all you guys got to see that last episode. If not, make sure you go back and check it out because it was pretty damn amazing. Let's see. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Maria. How are we? I'm working on getting those things to you, Maria. Yeah, I was just talking about what a great show that was with Gunner showing up. It's amazing, and Tiff's amazing too. I mean, I'm very lucky that this is finally surrounding up to be a good crew. It's taken us a while to put the pieces in place, but I think that we're finally getting them, don't you guys? I think we're getting them. Maria, God told you a long time ago that you would have many children at that time. He told me I only had one. 28 years later, you have 5 children and 4 grandchildren. That's freaking amazing. God works in so many ways. We all seem to forget about God when we're in our tough times. And it seems like we're very easy to curse at Him and reprimand Him when it's not going our way. However, when it's going good, we don't seem to praise Him enough. So we always need to make sure that we praise God on every occasion, not just for the bad, not just for the good. But people make mistakes, and our Lord does too. So He's always in our heart, and He's an amazing person. And everybody needs to. You know what? Let's do a moment of silence for just for everybody that's lost their children to CPS. Everybody that's had problems with CPS. They're fighting CPS. They're having their own battles. Maybe we can get a prayer out to all of them. So let's just do a quick moment of silence here for everybody. Just do a prayer for everybody that's having problems with CPS. Maybe we can get that out across to them. All right, amen to that. Hopefully you all gave out some good prayers there, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that need us right now, and we all need each other. So that's the most important thing. There's a lot of people out there that they don't know about us, and they don't know about the support that we're trying to give to people and to try to help. Maybe they just need to hear our prayers to get them to us. We don't get the overwhelmingly thousands of hits a day on these channels like other places do, but we're trying to push. We're trying to let people know that we're here for them. And then the more people that we can get here, the more information and the more value it will become. So if you know people, make sure that you let them know that we're here for them. We want them here with us and our family and our good stuff. But yeah. So while we're waiting, I'm waiting for Herbert and the rest of the gang to join me. Tonight I wanted to talk about what we talk about often is where are all the kids going? What's going on with DCS? What's going on with that stuff? So to not even hold back on that, let me see here. Let me see. I just found it. There we go. Look right here. Here we go. Let's see. Let me find it here. Sorry about this, guys. It's fine. Well, first we're going to start with this right here. Let's share this here. Check this stuff out, guys. This is some pretty amazing stuff right here. Yep.
Thousand that are missing. Today,
Let me start that
children will work.
Here we go.
Recognized for 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chairman McClintock, Ranking Member Japal, and distinguished members of the committee. It is an honor to be here. I thank you for the invitation to share my testimony. My goal is to inspire action to safeguard the lives of migrant children, including the staggering 85,000 that are missing. Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked, and we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows, and I have to confess, I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors. I have sat with case managers as they've cried to tell me the horror of what has happened to children as they make the journey to this country. I saw apartment buildings where 20, 30, and 40 unaccompanied minors have been released. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid. Realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern-day slavery, with wicked overlords was a terrible revelation. A terrible revelation. These children are a captive victim population with no access to law enforcement or knowledge of their rights. They are extorted, abused, neglected. And that is why I blew the whistle in 2021. I witnessed firsthand the horrors of child trafficking and exploitation. My life will never be the same after what I saw. But I have hope, because I'm counting on you. It's my hope that you'll take action to end this crisis, to safeguard the lives of these vulnerable children. People have asked me, what can be done? What would you suggest? Well, first, I think HHS's #1 priority is oversight. They must commit to oversight, transparency, and accountability. If I could wave a magic wand, this, I believe, could be quickly solved by experts in the IG community. There is a Pandemic Analytics Center of Excellence, or the PACE as we call it. I believe if data analysts at the PACE could look at the data, children could be rescued, criminals could be prosecuted. If the PACE had access to this data, it shows where the children are and who has them. I think also we need to change the culture of speed over safety. Speed is the wrong performance measure when dealing with children. We need to revamp the vetting process of sponsors and have case managers who have investigative backgrounds, data analytics backgrounds, some certified fraud examiners. And I think we need to reimagine a system where the sponsor is the accountable party. Sponsors should be required to report to ORR. And lastly, stop retaliating against whistleblowers. Stop retaliating against the people who are trying to tell the truth to save the children. As it is written, a wise man listens to advice, while a fool continues in his folly, and HHS needs to be wise to care for these children.
Thank you very much. Your time's expired.
All right. So there we go. That's Mrs. Rodas. She was the whistleblower, obviously. But did you hear what she said? She said, we need to stop making this about the time, right? But why is it that CPS gives bonuses for fastly adopting children for the American Safe Families Act? Why is it that they still support that? And why aren't we hearing this about the children that are taken from CPS in the United States? See, we're hearing all this stuff about the kids and the immigration, but no one is talking about right here in the United States. That's driving me insane. Let's see what Herbert's up to. Herbert!
Hey, how are you? Good. I've been listening to, in view of what you just said, I've been listening to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. And they're talking all about the election stuff. Nothing whatsoever about the children being taken from parents. Nothing.
Wouldn't you think that
like it doesn't exist?
Right. Like it's not a problem at all.
No, not a problem. It's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, the elephant in the room, like you call it.
How about I'll say it this way. There's no issue.
Right, so everybody's fine with it. Everybody's just fine with the fact that the United States is just trafficking kids, taking kids out of everybody's homes.
The only little thing they talked about on one of those stations was is about the longshoremen that were going to go on strike, but they held the strike off, I think, until January. And people are going to Costco and other stores and buying up toilet paper and kitchen paper, towels like crazy.
Oh, must be another thing coming up. Oh, there's a hurricane down south.
No, there's no hurricane. They're doing it because they're afraid that the strike will prevent them from getting toilet paper. But the strike has been delayed until January 15th. They're going to go back to the table.
Oh, all right.
But people, but they talked about. My point was they talked about that. I mean, they made mention about that, but not mention about children being taken.
And it's not that it's short of people like us that are coming out and screaming for help. I mean, we're doing everything that we can on this side. our our voices have got to be being heard by someone, I would think, wouldn't you?
Oh, it's being
Because
heard.
you and I have done over 240 shows.
Yeah,
Someone
it's
is
being
being
heard.
heard.
It's being heard because sometimes I do research on YouTube, and when I go in there about Child Protective Services and CPS, you should see the slew of information and the so many attorneys that are in there trying to grab you and to make money off of you. I mean,
Right.
it's like wow, look at this. Look at all these attorneys. Look at all this information people are offering. It's if you go to YouTube, it's alive and well.
Right. Yeah. M. Young says, what about the people coming over in shipping containers? What about the children that are going out of here in the shipping containers, Maria? I mean, this is the thing. Like, they're using these shipping containers, and they trace those shipping containers back to, you know who? Ding, 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 ding. Hillary Clinton owns some of those shipping container companies. Look up that one. And yeah, there's talk about the P. Diddy thing. See, again, they were going to start talking, or they're going to start talking about the trafficking and all of that, but they're not going to talk about how CPS has fumbled and lost these kids, and that's how these kids are getting involved in trafficking. That's the thing. That's what sucks. It's like we get so close to getting massive media coverage for this movement, but then they drop the ball and it's just over. You think all of a sudden, all right, we're going to get this. The P. Diddy story broke. Great, we're going to get this. Because how can they not say that these kids are, from the custody of CPS and yada, 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 and then nothing. You just get slapped back down. But yet, if you talk about the 85,000 kids that were immigrant and being lost, well, now we have a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is where we get some outrage from, right? Like, I have no problem with us supporting and finding these kids, the immigration kids that are being lost. But God damn it, we got to start looking at our own here. When we're getting a child a minute taken from our homes, there's a problem. Either we're a bunch of terrible, neglectful parents, or they're doing something awfully wrong too.
Yeah.
Here's the balance.
Well, even if you were considered a bunch of terrible, neglectful parents, that should be news.
Right.
There's no news about terrible, neglectful parents.
No. Unless they got an award or something like that at the, for doing something, like you get something like that, awards that you didn't even know existed or something, to help human trafficking and that type of stuff.
Well, I'll tell you another thing too. During the summertime, when you have the kids are left in a car, you hear about that. Or the one where the family went up one of my mountains out here, and a 10-year-old died from heat exhaustion. You're gonna hear about that. Okay? If something gross happens to a child with a family, you're gonna hear about that.
Right.
But other than that, no. And believe me, I listen to the news on a regular basis. Nothing.
Yeah, it's freaking scary. It's freaking really scary. Because it's got to have to be. It comes up. It has to be us that keeps pushing this message through, right? Like that's what we've got to do here.
Are we though? That's the question. Are we? Are we really getting it out there to the right people that can make something out of it? I mean, not just your show. I'm thinking about all the other shows that's doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it seems like there's enough out there, like you just said, but where is the outrage?
There is none. Even, you know what? Even in cases where you have, is it called group homes, and things happen in group homes, you would think that would hit the tabloids and hit the news. No, it don't. Unless the child dies. Then it'll be local news for a day, and that's it, all forgotten about.
Yeah, that's it too. They don't care. It's just they don't even want to spend any time on it. They don't want to listen. They don't want anything. But I would think that any politician out there would welcome a massive amount of people like this. Like, you got millions and millions and millions of people that are sitting here crying out for some help to get our kids back.
Yes.
That any politician
Yes.
should be able to help. They're idiots to not
Yes.
grab onto this group.
Yes. Out of all 50 states, this is going on in all 50 states.
Yeah. It's not like this is one or the other. It's just, like you said, this is everywhere.
Yes. Nothing's happening, Darren.
I know it. It's I mean, people are finding ways, but like, with the gunner thing, we're having to find ways to go around the real issue. It's like they're not even going to let us get this real issue out into the face of people.
But if you were to say something anti-government or something on a terroristic level, they will be after you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know that. You know that very well. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But
I understand, Debbie. You said that they don't care because it's not their child. But even when it is their child, nothing comes out. They're still dealing with it also, the same way everybody else is.
Right.
Debbie, even if it's their child, they're fighting it also. And it's not coming out on the tabloids.
No. Well, check this one out here. Watch this one I'm going to play for you. Here we go.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you a way to potentially make money by pairing Amazon with the power of AI without ever selling physical products. And I promise you've never.
We have to find these children. And that's it. We have to find these children. Where are the children?
A new report released yesterday is revealing major failures within the state's DFACS system. It found nearly 2,000 children have gone missing while in the state's care, and that DFACS failed to properly respond to threats to children's safety 84% of the time. 11 Alive's Latasha Gibbons joining us live now in studio. And Latasha, listening to these numbers, I mean, this is really alarming.
They absolutely are, Jonathan. Senator Ossoff says the reason he called for this independent investigation is because of those allegations that were reported. But some of the advocates we talked to say they didn't expect those numbers to be so high, from the failure rate to the high number of missing children.
In February, I launched a bipartisan inquiry into allegations of abuse and neglect of foster children here in Georgia.
That inquiry came amid an 11 Alive investigation, revealing the state of Georgia was using motels to house dozens of teens, often for months at a time. And these findings are equally eye-opening. According to the report, DFACS data provided to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children shows between 2018 and 2022, 1,790 children in Georgia's care went missing. Also in the report, an audit DFACS conducted back in 2022 found a failure rate of 84%. Senator Ossoff pointed to one specific case that ended in tragedy, with the mother speaking at a hearing in D.C. this week.
We heard heartbreaking testimony from Rachel Aldridge, a Georgia mother whose 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, was murdered while in care.
He says in that case, a proper background check was not conducted, and the mother's concerns about her daughter's safety were ignored.
We have to find these children. And that's it. We have to find these children. Where are the children?
Former Georgia State Representative Erica Adeyemi grew up in the foster care system. She's the founder of Speak Out Loud, a nonprofit advocating for foster care children.
The DFACS system has to be held accountable for this. This is not a piece of paperwork gone missing. These are children.
Senator Ossoff says so far investigators have interviewed more than 100 people and are still reviewing thousands of pages of records.
If it was your child, if it was your cousin, if it was your brother, you would be screaming from the rooftops.
I will continue relentlessly to investigate failures to protect the most vulnerable children in our state.
And we asked about the status of the children, and we weren't given a clear answer other than it's in the early stages of the investigation. It's also unclear if DFACS reported each missing child to law enforcement and to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is required by law. We'll keep you updated as the investigation continues.
You will. Wow. Thank you so much, Latasha. Our 11 Alive investigators, in fact, have done several stories related to the issues, some of them that Latasha just talked about concerning the foster care system. You can see more from our key.
Talk about Herbert, right? Where do they go?
Right. Well, here's one thing. You might want to touch bases with that organization called Speak Out Loud.
Yeah. I've already reached out to them before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've never heard anything back from them. But
why did you reach out? You called or you sent them a text?
I sent them an email. I want you guys. This one's hard to swallow, but I want you guys to watch this one. Everybody, pay close attention to this.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store, preloaded with 20 handpicked products that are trending all over the world, basically validated by AI from a trending product database from one of the top vendors on the planet. And the reason that we can do this completely free for you is
we have to find these children, and that's it.
There we go.
Let's talk about the evil practice of rehoming. Yes, I said evil. If you've never heard of rehoming, this is what happens when a family adopts a child and then they decide that that child no longer fits in with their family or that they're no longer able to parent that child. And so they go on Facebook groups, they go on websites, they even could go on Craigslist or things of that nature to basically try to give that child up to another family. The evil part of this rehoming process is that there's no oversight to this, because as a parent, they can just give up that child to whoever they choose. They can just sign paperwork and give up the rights legally and just hand over the child to a family that hasn't been vetted. We don't know that family's background and such and so forth. So today I want to show you guys this video from 60 Minutes Australia, which is an amazing documentary that if you've never really understood what rehoming was, well, today you're about to learn.
First up, we have Alicia. Alicia is a very special and very sweet young lady who is looking for her forever family. She describes herself.
It's a parade like no other. Abandoned children desperately selling themselves to win over a new family, a new start.
She also likes drawing and doing arts and crafts.
And in the audience, sizing them up to find a perfect match, are their potential parents.
Okay, Michaela, you look so girl.
Travelling to this so-called matching event today is Tom, a teacher with no children, who is interested in 14-year-old Frank, given up by his adopted family 2 years ago and now living in a care home.
Today is important because I get a chance to kind of be a part of something, a part of a family that I've been waiting to be a part of for a very long time now.
If that doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. These are children who were maybe already adopted, and those families decided that they no longer want those children.
He has much to lose and only 2 hours to convince Tom he's worthy of adoption.
I'm trying to show him the brightest aspects of me and to let him know what the darkest ones are.
Frank has sold himself well. Tom agrees to give his new son a trial run and will collect him in 15 days' time.
Thank you, do the same.
But 6 months later, Tom decides they're not compatible. And again, Frank can only hope and wait to find a family who wants him forever.
So this is a child who is being tossed around as if he is a dog, as if he's an animal or an object who you can just toss around from family to family. Oh, I don't like that, and so we can't do this. Oh, I don't like that, so we can't do this. So we've already seen through the story for this young man that his family, who had adopted him originally, have already decided that they don't want to keep him. And now he's being paraded around and being shown around to other families to try to adopt him.
It is distressing, tragic, and completely legal. Here in the US, it's a phenomenon known as rehoming, where, along with matching events, troubled kids are advertised like goods on eBay and given to anyone who'll take them. Mostly they're adopted and often wear the scars of abuse and neglect. Most disturbingly, their parents have decided they no longer want them.
So what we're seeing here, you guys, is literally the sale of children who have already been adopted. This is post-adoption. So supposedly society has already done their due diligence, they've already done their best for their children, they've already found a suitable family. By the time we get here, these children should be in a home that's suitable for them. As foster parents, we are pretty vetted, right? You go through your home study process, you do your background checks, you take the classes, the child stays with you for however long. You can decide at any point as a foster parent that, you know what, I don't think this is a good fit for our family. We're, calling a 2-week notice or whatever. You can do that as a foster parent. You don't ever need to go through adoption as a foster parent, okay? So there's so many opportunities as a foster parent for you to see these things. Like, it doesn't take very long to see if a child is a good fit in your family, but to spend so much time with a child, to start bonding with them, for them to be in your home, to adopt them, and then to decide after adoption that you don't want to parent them anymore, I think it's absolutely evil. It would be best for that child, in my view, to just let them go. If you're fostering them and you don't think that they're a good fit, let that child go so that they can hopefully find a family that will be able to adapt them and keep them. But it is cruel to keep a child in foster care, to foster them, to say, yes, I want to adopt them, knowing already, because you would have known already, that this child may not be a good fit for me, because the child can't just pretend. I mean, if you've been fostering them for a year and a half, 2 years, any length of time, you'll see everything about that child. They can't hide their, bad behaviors or whatever. They're children. And so you would have seen all of these things. So for you to wait until adoption is over and then decide you don't want them is absolutely evil. It's cruel.
Hi, I'm Joe with Universal Factory Direct Kitchen and Bath Discounters in beautiful Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And don't forget, we're tax-free in New Hampshire. I'm the lead designer here, and last year we helped over 900 New England families with the purchase of their beautiful new kitchens and hot tubs.
It's an underground trade in children that could be happening in any suburb across America. It's estimated that there is something like 24,000 foreign adoptees who are no longer with their adopted families, and as we've seen, there are countless more waiting to be rehomed. To rehome a child here is breathtakingly easy. Parents who no longer want their kids simply sign them over to those who do.
As you guys may know, there's been a huge decline in international adoption over the past couple of years. Now, we could say the reason why is because Americans don't want to adopt internationally anymore. Americans have turned over a new leaf and they want to adopt the kids from foster care. The reason why there's such a decline, well, one of the reasons why there's such a decline in international adoptions is because a lot of countries are closing their doors to Americans because their children are coming into America and then being rehomed. Their children are coming to America and they're ending up in foster care. So a lot of these countries, Ethiopia being one of them, has shut their doors to America because of the number of children that were adopted from Ethiopia and then ended up in foster care, ended up homeless, and then America, the system, had to take care of the child that these parents had originally adopted, okay? So the decline is largely due to the fact that a lot of countries don't like America's practices when it comes to adoption.
I think it's often that the child doesn't meet the expectations of the family. And so instead of working with a child, they're trying to rehome them.
Get rid of them.
Dispose of them.
When you adopt a child, it is forever. You should not get to the place where you need to return that child for any reason because the child is unreturnable. Just like your biological child, you can't put the child back in your womb and say just return to wherever you came from. So why do some people think that once they adopt a child, it's like an option? You can just return them. Return them to where? Especially when they're coming from a different country. And so now this has become such a prevailing practice and it's shocking, but I want to open you guys' eyes to see When I am talking about how we need to be the best adoptive parents that we can be and how we need to understand about interracial adoption, we need to understand trauma, we need to understand that this child is coming with their own biological stuff and that we need to be prepared for that. This is what I'm talking about.
And what about the people who might be looking at these photos? Who might they be?
Well, it could be anyone. We know from experience it can be pedophiles and people who are liars and cheats.
Like a shopping list for a pedophile.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
17-year-old Poppy knows the awful truth through first-hand experience. Like an unwanted pet, Poppy's former adoptive parents rehomed her when she was just 7 years old. They delivered her to Nicole and Calvin Eason, a couple they met in an adoption chat room who have since been exposed as serial pedophiles.
When we're going through the adoption process, you know, a lot of people complain about the home study, but there's a reason for the home study. I love that there's a home study process because we're vetting people to make sure that they're not criminals, that they can actually take care of a child, because we want children to be placed in safe families. The children have already been traumatized by being removed from wherever they came from. And so to add now them being placed with the family who's going to abuse and neglect them obviously causes further harm. One of the evils of this rehoming process is that there is no vetting. The family that decides to just give up their children will just give that child up to anybody. I mean, they're not going through a background check process with that other family. Like, let me see your FBI background checks. You know, did you go to the state patrol and get fingerprint? They're not doing that. They're like, oh, well, you look like a nice family. Sure, if you want to take this child, here you go. Or you go on Facebook, and there are people who are actually middlemen here. And they will post your child's profile on the Facebook group and say, anybody looking, anybody. It's a public group. Anybody can go look and decide and kind of check and see what child they want. And they don't have to go through a home study process. They don't have to go through background checks. They don't have to go through all the hard work that you have to do to be able to adopt a newborn, to be able to adopt from, they don't have to go through any of that. So this literally opens the door wide open for children to be sex trafficked, for pedophiles to taking these children, and for criminals to taking these children. If I was a family that was approached by another family and they told me, hey, you know, we've adopted this child and we don't want this child anymore, will you take them? I would call the police. That's what I would do. That's what I would recommend that you do too, by the way. Anyway, when you think about this, what the family is actually doing is discarding the child and doing the most neglectful thing that a parent can do is leave your child with whoever. That is pure evil in my book. Now, if you are as incensed about this as I am, and you're like, I cannot believe they would do this to children. They are, and children are going through this every day right here in the beautiful land of the free. Church, we really need to turn our heart to these children because God loves these children. If we don't step in and we don't do something, like really do something, do our part. I'll take one child, you know, I'll foster one, or I'll adopt one, and you just focus on being the best adoptive parent that we can be. If we don't do something, these children are this is what's happening to them, right? So church, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna like just bury our heads in the sand and pretend like these things are not happening? Because they are, and now you know, so you can pretend like you didn't know. Now you have a responsibility to pray and ask God, what can I do? There's so many things that we can do to be involved so that we can be a positive change. If you wanna join my brand new community, which is called Kingdom Adoption Community. I'm gonna put the link below. We're just gonna be hanging out and we're gonna be talking about how to be the best adoptive parent that we can be. I'm gonna be bringing topics that we really need to hear about adoption. And it's just gonna be a place where you can chat with each other, you can get to know each other all across America, and we can just really encourage each other in the Lord to do this great work that God has given the church, which is to take care of his orphans, okay? So if that's you, you're interested in joining the community, click the link below, and hopefully I'll see you in there. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
That's a hard pill to swallow right there, my man.
That is a hard pill. That is a hard pill to swallow.
on this. See, this is the stuff that people don't think about. Like, and did you notice that she said, this is what she said. She said they've already gone through the trauma of from where they were being removed. So they're not talking about the trauma of the abuse or neglect that was done in the home. They're talking about the trauma that they get when they are just taken away from their families, which these reports show over and over and over and over that the children suffer more when that happens than they do if they were actually in that position in that home with abuse. But yet we still go do this. So again, where is the outrage? Do people need to see this stuff? People need to see more videos like this so that they know that we need help, because this isn't right that kids are going through this. They're being removed from homes where they didn't need to be removed from, and then they're being put through all of this bullshit. Come on. Like, what do we have to do? What do we have to do to stop all this? To make people that don't pay attention
what I think we have to do is, when we have children, to be the best we can with our children, to keep our children at home.
Right. And we do that. And most of us think we did. And then we lose our children to this thing. So if you can't do that, if you get unfortunately selected by CPS and they come and take your child, well, what do you do? How are you supposed to act? What role are you supposed to play?
Well, we're all doing that. We're fighting the system and trying to get our children back. But if we don't get them back, they end up in foster care. Then they're going to end up being adopted.
Right, and then they get adopted, and then the family doesn't think that they're good enough for them, so then they unadopt them or they do whatever. And this is my next question. If they can hand these kids off after these adoptions like this, why can't the parents get their kids back after all of this bullshit that they're going through? But they can just hand them off to different families, but you can't get them back as a parent? That's horseshit.
Well, it's interesting because the way she said that, I thought about it, and where a person adopts a kid, they don't want the kid anymore, then if the original parent can reach out, they can get the kid back.
You would think that's
and CPS will not be involved.
I mean, you would think that, but I doubt.
Well, think about it. CPS is involved with foster. Am I correct? In foster care. Yeah. Once the child is adopted, that's it. That child is adopted out. Now, if you happen to know who the adoption is of the people, and they're like, no, I really don't want the child anymore, fine. Give me my kid back.
Right, but that would have to go through a legal process, which, if you're substantiated, means...
Well, no, that's okay. But the legal process of getting a kid is not going to be CPS.
Right, but there's still paperwork, is what I'm saying. There's still things that say that.
Yes, there's going to be paperwork for me to get a child that's been adopted, and the person doesn't want the child. And I said, well, I could take the child off your hands. Then we go through court paperwork and everything else. I had the child transferred to me. CPS is not involved.
Right, but you can't just give the child. So say it's my daughter. You can't just give me my daughter back, and then you got to go through life.
If you want, think about what you're saying. If you had your daughter now, and you were having issues with your daughter, and you really can't take care of your daughter, you don't want to take care of your daughter, and you say, hey, Herb, you and your wife, would you take my daughter? And I say, sure, we'll take your daughter, Darren. Let's go down to the courts and do the paperwork or whatever we got to do to transfer your daughter over to us as a family and blah, blah, blah. CPS is not involved. CPS is not involved.
But no, I understand that, and I don't know how that works. I have to research that more, but I don't believe you'd be able to hand me my child back, even if CPS isn't involved, because there's going to be some legal formalities that you have to go through.
There's going to be legal formalities for anybody to take the child. Anybody.
No, and I understand what he's talking about, going through regular court without CPS. But you are labeled as a abuser. You cannot have contact with any child, let alone your own.
Okay. All right. So if we go to that route, then yeah. But then here's my next question. What if you and your wife decides to have another child tomorrow? Are they going to take that child because of your label?
Yep.
Did you say yes?
I sure did.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
Yep. If you are substantiated against, you are not allowed to have children.
Okie dokie. That's something you just taught me. I didn't know that. I just thought in the incident of that one incident where that one child was taken. But if you have another child, you could, you'd be able to keep that child. But I don't know once you're labeled, then okay. So the real deal is how do you get unlabeled?
There's $1 million question, right? How do you become unlabeled? Go and fight an appeals battle to get your record changed? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how you would do that or how you go about that.
So in actuality, this whole fight with many parents is because they've been labeled. And as a result of the label, even if they have children, another child, they have to give up that child too. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yep. In 98% of the cases, I'm pretty sure that's what happens. You have,
Okay, well, see, this is new to me. You just taught me something I did not know.
Wow, I'm good. I learned you something, Herbert.
I've always learned something new.
That's a big suck, right? Like so they'd rather pass this kid off to total strangers and not allow them to get back to business and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then
because of the label. It comes down to the label. So they'd rather put the child in a group home where it's going to get really messed up than to give it back to their parents because the parents are labeled.
Maria wants to know if that would be a defamation lawsuit against CPS. As far as you saying that, look, they've given me back my kids and didn't work out for those families, is that what you're saying? Or are you saying defamation because they're saying that you are substantiated against, so you can't have your child? Like, which one do you think we're talking about? That's what Maria said. Would it be a defamation lawsuit against CPS? I don't know how that would work. Because we had this discussion earlier too. Like, at what point is it not breaking the law? Like, at what point is it? At what point is it when it is? How could you get your kids back? I don't understand. We could do a private thing. Keep that in mind with the child. Like if you could make a deal with somebody or something, that would be the perfect world situation. But are you able to do that? Like you can't get through schools without legal documents, things like that. Right, your defamation of character is alive because you've been substantiated against. I agree wholeheartedly. Maybe that's something that we need to talk to the gunner about. Ask him about that question because I don't know how that works because they're basing that substantiation on the hearsay only, and they're finding you, hook, line, and sinker guilty. So I don't know how that comes out, but I think that's a good question for Gunner. But yeah, that's kind of what my thoughts were tonight. Is what do we do about this situation?
I would like the question to Gunner is how to remove the label off your head.
Right. So we'll remember that for tomorrow. He is on with us again tomorrow. So.
Cause see, you like I said, you just brought that out and educated me on that. Now I understand, and it makes me also understand now why all these attorneys are taking the money from people, knowing full well that they cannot get the label off the head.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Do you have a statistic on how many children were returned to parents that were labeled?
I don't even know how to go about looking at how many substantiated parents. Hello, man in the wall. How are you?
I'm doing. I'm surviving.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Do you hear the voice in the wall?
Yeah. I was listening to what you guys were talking about, and I was watching some of what you had, and then I watched the show earlier too. So, but yeah, I had an important phone call today, and yeah, I think things may be looking forward.
Oh, good, very good. Well, let's not do anything that will get you get the man in the wall any sort of any further issues. You know,
right?
It's, keep it kind of a in case you need to know or whatever they call that. Need to know basement. Need to know basis.
Yeah, I need to know basis. But Miss Young definitely needs to know that the voice in the wall knows her very well, and I remember her.
All right. Yes. Sure that they heard you, so that's good. If they would have said that, Maria says, if they would have said I'm fat, that would have been true. That's funny, Maria. Oh man, this is just all nuts to me. And I saw this morning. A new video that I was looking for, but I can't seem to look at it. Yeah.
How you doing, Mr. Man on the Wall?
I'm hanging in there, Herbie. How are you?
Okie doke.
But yeah, this was just another way of looking at this stuff tonight, guys. I just wanted to bring another level of what is going on with our kids after they leave us and they've TPR'd us, and for us all to think about. I know we're all out thinking about our kids all the time. I know we love our kids. We miss our kids tremendously. There's nothing in the world that could replace them. But think about things like this and see if you can maybe do something for your own soul, and maybe help a child out that's being whatever the word they said, reprocessed, or was it reprocessed?
Yeah, reprocess everything. Yeah, it's good sometimes to just kind of, go back to the original stuff and start looking through it. And, that's where you find the discrepancies. I will explain that.
Right.
Once you go back and you look in the paperwork and you look through everything slowly and you start piecing things out in your head, and you're looking at the paper and you're going, I need to mark this because this is going to help down the road. Well,
right.
It will help you down the road, as I'm finding out right now.
Right. Well, and how many?
He's doing fine, Debbie. He's doing fine.
Yep. Yep. He's doing the best he can with the tools he's got. I'm sure he'll be on soon enough to give us an update if he ever can be again. Hopefully we'll talk to him every day, both of us. So he's in as good of spirits as you can.
And I'm sure that if one of you guys want to get a hold of him, all you got to do is let Darren or Herbert know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Guys, we'll get in touch. Whatever, we'll figure it out for you. So if you want to get a hold of him, please. Yeah. All right, Mr. Man in the Wall, you want to do any last words tonight?
Never give up, no matter what they throw at you, because in the end, it will pay off.
That's a different one. All right, Mr. Hurd.
Continue educating yourself about CPS. It's a continuous learning process, and learn how to circumvent and fight your way through that wet bag of the system, so you can get results and have your family back together, get your children back.
Yeah, that's it. You're dead right. You're dead right about that. My last words are, I know we're all having a tough time, but please leave room in your prayers. Kids that are still out there that haven't been fortunate enough to be picked up or found by any families out there and put into a home. So just think about all of that, guys. So I look forward to tonight. I'm the CPS Punisher. It's been me and Herbert, Man in the Wall. We are out of here. Catch you all tomorrow.
Take care.
Celebrate quite yet the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, but chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, oh, we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lion not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheek. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you